Hey guys, thanks for being here with Codebreaker Real Talk, and hope your holidays were okay or happy, or if you celebrate or not. I have been battling a cold, as you all know, since the 24th, and it sucks. I am getting more tired of the community, of the SSP community, using brand new, we'll say, people that are waking up, and trying to find a angle to get into their lives. It could be as innocent as when I started, I was like putting up everything on Facebook. Even Iris said, "Why are you putting all your information out there?" And I said, "For me." But what happens is people like Corey Good take the stuff, the information, they make movies, they make comics out of it, they take it as their own experiences, and then they add some more CIA juju or whatever you want to call it. So, you know, I feel now is that yes, I've had a talk with Power Lady about this, like, because I was upset because I feel like you guys are kind of like my kids, but you're not babies, you know what I'm saying? Like I just I want to protect you guys because of what happened to me. It's so sad. Um, you don't even know who to trust anymore. So my whole thing with this conversation is that I just want the truth. And I want to be able to have a mini community, if that, to be able to call upon each other and say, hey, this happened to me, or hey, I think this person is in a, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, and that's one of the reasons why I invited you, Miss Patty, to come on, because I know you have questions and you have been misled, and thank you for being here. So if you'd like to start with any questions for us all, that would be great.
Okay. I don't know if you needed background first, or well, I guess my first thing, let me say this, is I have had some background things happen in my life, especially recently, that led me to believe that I I am probably or maybe in the secret space program. Um, and I'm not really sure. I was told by two different people that I was in it, but at the same time, of course, I don't know if they saw a post that I wrote a question about the secret space program. And if they looked at that and said, oh, I'm going to manipulate this person, um, I don't know. But really, I was pulling towards that because I believe I definitely have um, dissociative identity disorder with alters, and nothing um, was really explaining why I had it. I had some things come up, but that weren't related to the SSP. But the things that were coming up, just it was almost like, well, there either is more or like there's something wrong here. Why is there not anything else coming up? It just didn't make sense. And I only had a handful of alters. And yeah, and so when I started here putting almost like two and two together online I was coming in as a light worker. And when I started hearing about the SSP and putting things together, it kind of to me started to be like, wow, that could be a possibility. Um, and I started asking questions. And this, as I said, the one person who was in contact with me who wanted to be friends, I was friends with them. We talked about very generic things about the light worker situation. And then one day he, brought up the fact that he was waiting for me to get to ask a question so he could tell me the whole story of how I was an officer on Mars through the SSP program, and we were in a relationship, which also makes me wonder if he's, legitimate. Um, and he said I was in the 20 and back program. Um, and yeah, so that was one situation. I don't want to if you want me to stop and ask questions or something, let me know.
No, that's fine. I wanted to ask you about that one time you told me that you had an I don't know if it was a dream that you were a commander or something, that it just something happened to
Uh,
you where you woke up and you
yeah. What happened right at the beginning, mostly the light worker involvement. I had a dream where I was on a ship, and it felt very familiar to me. It felt like home. Um, it was a place that I was very comfortable in. And I was walking around, and I walked up to a desk and asked a question and got information. And it almost seems like they maybe could have been reporting information to me or just telling it to me, but it made me wonder through it. I actually did a QHHT session, and the person doing it got the sense that maybe they were reporting information to me, not just like letting me know something. So there was that question, was I, an officer on that ship, and they were reporting information to me that that's was a question we were wondering, and it kind of popped up, and someone, of course, said that was a flashback, and I'm like, wow, okay. um
yeah, especially if it feels like that you were really there and you have to differentiate between a screen memory and was it an implanted memory and things like that. Iris, were you going to say something?
I'm sorry.
It could have been, if it felt that you were really there and you were like
Yes, it was very vivid.
right,
It
then
was a very vivid dream. Like, it was really vivid.
yeah, I would say keep it as your memory, keep it as your truth. That's what I would tell you. Only you
Yeah.
can know the truth in your heart. So, anything else you wanted to talk about with that?
Well, I mean, then the other piece, I started communicating with other people on the Super Soldier Talk group, and someone contacted me not long after that and said they wanted to be friends. So I was of course interested. He said, I have a lot of information about the 20 and back program if you're interested, and I of course wanted to hear it. So I befriended him, and he he informs me that he works undercover. He's a researcher and a reporter, and yeah, ironically out where you are. So maybe no, I'm just kidding. Uh, but anyway, um, yeah. So he claimed he was speaking to a woman that was in the inner earth, and she was a million years old or more, and she was giving him this information, and he said, yes, you were an officer, you were a general, 1-star general. um you were on Mars, you worked with, I won't say the person's name, but a very well-known SSP soldier. um and he said you worked, with him, actually, together as almost like a team, and he would know you if he saw you. But so that kind of gave me some feeling like, wow. And someone else knew him, won't say who else knew him, but another pretty, I mean, a well-known person in this community knew of this person, and the woman he referred to in the inner earth claimed he did get some information through her. Some of it was questionable, he wasn't really sure about, and the other part he felt pretty um, confident about. That, well, or not pretty confident, he felt it matched with what he knew. um, so really, basically what happened, I was in, it was hard for me to gosh, like eh, what's the word, soak in. It was hard for me to soak in the fact that uh let's see, that this was all this was true. It was just overwhelming. He said I worked for the cabal, through the cabal fraction under the SSP. And um I was like, oh, of course I didn't want to be working under that, section. So I'm like, well, can I transfer into the alliance? And he said, well, a lot of people do from the cabal. And I'm like, well, I would really like to. And I mean, it gets more involved. I mean,
No, keep
I
going.
don't,
It sounds like they were recruiting you, baby.
they recruited me for what?
Into their deranged mental, whatever kind of.
During any of this, did you give them any suspicion that you were believing any of this? Were they just constantly feeding you, and or were they like taking their time to figure out if they were actually wrapping you around their finger, so to speak?
I think they were given it a little bit of time to see how far they could get me pulled in. And at one point, this is, let me tell you this piece. He wanted me to practice my telepathic skills with a soldier that was under me. She was supposed to be like my right hand man. And it just seemed like the first few messages that we practiced that she sent to me, I got right. And it just seemed to me, I was like, that seems kind of, I don't know if I'm, really that good at telepathic communication that I'd get the first two things like right away. He told me I also had an implant, a telepathic, oh gosh, I wish I could remember the name of it, but it was an implant to help it, like augmented or something type word he used. That was supposed to help with telepathic communication. And he said he had one, and he wanted me to practice the telepathic communication so I could apparently communicate with the people in higher realms that were with the Alliance. He was telling me the Alliance was not in our plane, they were in the upper realms right at that point. So I made a joke about the telepathic communication. I'm like, can't I just um, join the Air Force, get top secret clearance, and you know, join the alliance or something? And they took it the wrong way, and then they cut off communication with me. They kind of like, how could you be so,
I
this
remember,
is,
Patty, it was because you said, well, what do you mean? I don't want, because supposedly this female was subordinate to you, and you said, well, pretty much you said, she's below me. What does she think she's, doing talking to me this way? And then the next guy
yeah.
took you
Yes.
off.
That was like that was the thing that did it. Yes. Because she was like, of course, very angry that I said this. And, so I guess I overstepped, and so he cut off communication with me. And so that's that part. And basically I found out through the other person that he thought I was in the cabal or the ICC, and that's why he cut me off. I found that out through the other person who knew him. So I don't know what to make out of any of this, but I really, I'm sorry, go ahead. I can.
I think they were trying to get your story so that they can put it up on their major channel there on YouTube and pretty much take your story, just like this person that we know does, you know,
Yeah,
added to his bank of super soldier stories and making it his own,
right.
not crediting you or making you look stupid after, because this is what they do.
Yeah,
They make you feel like you're crazy, or because you're not in alliance with them, you know, you're not comporting yourself to their rules, that you're an outcast now, you know.
right, right. And so it's a scam then.
They try to
Yeah,
catch your interest, and unfortunately, they catch the interest of some people who have had quite real experiences that they haven't even dreamt of having. And you know, it gets pretty hard for some people when they see this happen to them, and you feel for them, and you can't do anything about it because they're just so entrapped at this point that there's, you know, you tried to help them, but there's voices behind their back telling them not to trust you at the same time. And that's where it's at this point. Just bickering going on behind backs and deleting videos saying it's because it's true. And, you know, jealousy being a big issue, people being lonely. They go out. I'm the biggest introvert in the world. I mean, you'd think I was the craziest person on the block because of how little I leave my apartment, but it's not true. It's just
yeah,
of things we've been through. These are real experiences, and people who have been through stuff like this, they act like this. It's not because they're CIA or agents or something.
right.
They're scared.
How do
It's
you,
just what's going
So,
on.
so like it basically you're saying that they're scammers, and some of them might not be, but they're well, they're scamming, but they're taking their own. They have a background, but they're taking your story and stealing it.
Some of them might have started out as people who just wanted the truth, like me and you, or all of us in here, rather. And eventually, along the way, someone whispered in their ear a couple things to give them a pretty penny here and there, or, you know, possibly a
Oh,
threat. You know, you never know. There are things like that. There are people who disclose plane types and ships, you know, and these UFO planes, they are piloted, but, you know, people are trying to say they're piloted by aliens when they could be piloted by nothing, or humans for all we know. You know, but and I
right,
think those stuff exists, but then they try to rope it into SSP agendas, and then you wonder why. You're like, what are they saying that's so true that they have to keep adding SSP into it to just in order to say it? You know, and obviously you start
right.
wondering, okay, SSP is just that thing that keeps them, you know, able to keep speaking, rather, is what I
I
think
get
it
what
is.
you're saying.
Yeah.
right.
I see what you're saying. So it's like they, right. Okay, I understand.
And also, Patty, how Jesse wrote in the comments there, you know, they have to like fit into a script. And what happened to me with this very well-known woman that we all know, um, you know, I pretty much had to ask permission to even say something to my friends. It got to that point, and Power Lady was like,
Wow.
"What do you mean she's gonna get mad at you if you say something like that in public? You know what? She's what? She's your handler now." So she kind of like helped me to open my eyes to see, you know, what they pretty much want in this community is they want to order you when to open your mouth and when to shut your mouth and put you in a little box. Don't speak, you know, only we're only gonna, you only speak when we need you to remote view something, or, you know, do do a mission for us. And it's gotten to the points of the teams of what I call God wars, because this does not end here. This goes higher. And all of
Yeah.
those people in the SSP community, different communities, if you notice,
Mhm.
right?
They're Yeah. Okay. Yes.
There's also a large portion of them that have something to sell on the side, and they add the SSP into it because it adds clientele for their thing to sell.
That's
And
right.
when these people come along listening to their, whether it's medicinal, herbal, whatever, whether it actually works or not, that's great. But they're roping this SSP into that stuff at this point as well, getting people to
Wow.
buy into it literally. And now they're saying, well, I'm not associated with so and so, so my stuff is no. You're selling things to people, or you're charging $500 for a session that someone may or may not believe. And to me, I don't see how people can pay for it to even believe that.
Right.
Paying
Right.
$5 for something, it's just, you know,
Patty, I have a question for you.
Sure.
When you said you were speaking with some of the SSP people, do any of them have any psychic abilities? Like, how are they getting the information about you? If they saw you somewhere, or they knew what team you were on, where are they getting the information?
They did not go that deep into it. Uh, it was more. It was more me trying to get information that I could make sense out of my situation and how this, like, because I feel my memories were erased. I felt that before this even happened, because I had one flashback. I guess it was a flashback. It was a dream. Well, what am I saying? It wasn't a dream. It was an actual memory of a female soldier coming forward. One of my it was an altar, and she was very like kick ass, like really very strong, powerful, aggressive. And after I had that memory, I kind of didn't want to know anymore. I was like, okay, that's enough. But at the same time, I felt like there was nothing there. So it was like I was feeling both things. Like, I don't want to know anything else. And then at the same time, I'm like, but there's nothing there anyway. So I was looking for information. They were not really like they weren't telling me that they saw me. One person did just recently, and I remembered what was said, amongst, I believe, your one of your shows, and I was very skeptical. I'm like, how do all these people know each other? Like, I don't understand the community enough to know if that's possible. Like, is it small enough that people really recognize people that that frequently?
Well,
um
what I can tell you, Patty, is that I have visions, dreams, premonitions, things like that. And sometimes I will see people that I have not met before. There are times where I will see people, Tony Rodriguez, for example. When I met him in person, it was just a, how you doing? And he said hi. He kept walking. I kept walking. That night, I saw him on a ship, and I saw that he was killed by another SSP person. So I contacted him and told him. And I told
yeah,
him what he needed to do to clear it up, who it was, and who he needed to stay away from. And
right.
he thanked me for the information. And I've seen him a couple more times after that. And so what I can tell you is that if you see them in your dreams or vision, then you're actually seeing them. You need to document in a journal or something so you can keep track of the details. I date
Okay.
and time, I write the date and the time that I see or whatever it is. Because after about a year, there's so much stuff to learn and know, and I can't remember all the details. I try so I could just go off the cuff with my memories,
Oh,
but
sure.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, but sometimes I do forget details.
And with the implants, the only thing that should be in your body is whatever is organic to your body. You should not have an implant in you that allows you to communicate with some being, some person, or something else. Those all need to be removed. This is the information that the people you are talking to should be telling you you need to do. You need to clear your space, the space, your aura, your space.
Right.
Because these beings and things that get into it, and they cause you to have these screen memories and things like that, and they use you in the astral. So it is your job to reclaim your soul aspects back to you, and to clear your space, and to, you may call them, what did you call them? I call them soul aspects, you call them altars.
Yeah, well, I usually call them parts. That's the way I started, but everyone says altar, so
It's whatever whatever term is comfortable for you, because
yeah.
your pieces, your soul, they'll take fragments of your soul, put them in avatars, and have them do what they want them to do. And when I
Right.
say they, I'm talking about fourth dimension, 12D Pleiadians, all those, to use you. So it is your job to reclaim your energy, to bring back your soul aspects to yourself, to make yourself whole and complete, and not allow people in the interim to steer you off that course or off your path, because it's important that you're complete. And the more complete you are, your memories will come back, and you will start to understand, and you will start to have visions of what's going on in the world, what's going on with people. You will be able to start seeing things that come in your home that you don't want, you did not invite. There's a whole world that'll start opening up to you once you start clearing your space.
Okay. Could I ask you? Yeah, and the first question I want to ask you, how do I clear my space as far as like if I did have an implant? But I guess you're getting the feeling that they're lying to me about the implant, because they didn't tell me to try and get rid of it, like try and clear it.
Yeah, if you implants that you have allow other beings or races to track you, or to
Right.
have you do things or be involved in programs that you would normally not be involved in.
I see.
Sometimes, yeah, I've had implants right here in my head that I could feel, and it's taken me a while to get rid of it because of what it
Wow.
was. Yeah. You
I,
know,
I was told I had a few implants from Northrop Grumman apparently in my head from this his name is Stephen Popiotek. He was doing regression work on me.
Wow.
That's another
Yeah.
thing.
So
You have to be very careful too, who you're gonna let in to work for like a regression, or that's I don't like to let people in like do Reiki sessions anymore. I shut down. Those are my chakras. Those are for me. I don't let anybody do that anymore. As far as the implants in our back, I know that there was a whistleblower on Carrie Cassidy's show a few years ago that said that as soon as we are born here, they chip you in the back of your head to track you, and then they prick you in the bottom of your feet for your blood, and then they put you on the scarecrow, birth certificate, and that's how they do their voodoo here. And so
send it all to the Vatican.
and the mafia, the CIA, DOD, all of them.
yeah. So I'm so sorry. So when you said the chip in the back, that who puts that who put that in, or you heard about the chip in the back of the neck?
So when you're born,
Born. Okay. I have trouble hearing. I'm sorry.
oh, no, it's okay. They'll distract the husband. The nurses will distract the husband, and then they'll take the baby and wash the baby, and who knows what else they do to the baby.
The bris or whatever. I was raised Jewish, so of course
Oh, yeah.
they send that type of thing to the Vatican as well, I'm sure, for whatever purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, one thing that this kind of makes me wonder, and I always suspected something because it just didn't make sense. I was born in Washington, D.C. In 1969, which is still when MK Ultra was apparently, when they call it active. Um, and I was born premature. I wasn't that premature. I was like a half a pound. I had to stay in the hospital to gain weight. Um, and my parents they were not allowed to touch me or anything. Only the medical people could. And they my parents were moving from one state to another, and the nurse encouraged my mom to go look at houses 2 states away. They left me for 2 days, my parents did. um so excuse me for a second. Okay. So yeah, so I was like, well, why would they, it's just to leave an infant that is premature for 2 days. Maybe, I mean, it might just be my like personal opinion, but it just seems very awkward and strange that they would go all the way to Georgia looking for houses, um, because they needed one right away, supposedly, to move into. But it just, I don't know. So during those 2 days, they could have done whatever they wanted. And of course, I was all around. I mean, not I wasn't all around. They were all around me. All this MK Ultra, their army bases, and the CIA was down the street. The FBI was down the street. Um, and hospitals in Washington D.C. were participating. That was written in there, and I later believe I was abused in. It was a factory that a pharmaceutical company bought, a very famous pharmaceutical company, which are also known to be under MK Ultra, as a cover. They were used a lot. So yeah, so those were the puzzle pieces that I was putting together even before um the SSP information was coming through. So that's like, just, I'm sorry, that's a little bit of my background. But when you said infant and putting chips in, I'm like, okay, well, I was left alone for 2 days, and it just made me suspicious, like, of the whole thing. And I was born in a car. I was born in the hospital parking lot in a car.
3 days for me, I heard. I was
I'm
unable to
sorry.
breathe. I was unable to breathe when I was born. I was told, supposedly, that was their reasoning. And they and they had to keep me in the hospital for a couple of days before I was able to be released. And this is after basically people paid for this lady to fly to New York to have me and all that.
Wow. So you were also in the hospital the same way,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
under, yeah. See, and with
I found out in the early, kind of like you, I found out early on that my mother, who gave birth to me, was also working for the pharmaceutical company as a halfway person. She worked as I don't know what you would call them, but they make little cases that would handle and hold these pharmaceuticals, so they would, when they'd ship them, they'd be safe. And she would make these cases. But she was speaking to someone that my mother was best friends with, who was and I messed up in the video. I probably got to tell people he's the director, not a CEO. I'm sure that's a big difference.
okay.
An IT director of Hoffman La Roche in New Jersey. And he adopted a whole bunch of kids from different ethnicities, including my sister. And I was also adopted at the same time that all these weird adoptions were going on. And I thought maybe something MK Ultra was going on as well, because it's a whole pharmaceutical company. It's obviously extremely fishy. And throughout my life, that I also forgot to mention in the video with Veronica, is that I've had dreams as well of being at this place that's now called um, something Hall. I'll have to, it's in New York, but it used to be the grounds of top of something called something Brown, which was another pharmaceutical company.
Wow.
I forgot the name of it, but I had used to have dreams of that. And then for my synagogue trip, we ended up going there and sleeping over there. And when I slept over there, I had dreams of me walking down the place. It was a huge place. It was a giant mansion. But I had dreams of me walking down the hallway at a different era than the era we were in during that synagogue trip. And it freaked me
Okay.
out because I was like, this is what is with this pharmaceutical stuff in me. And I didn't realize it was built over a pharmaceutical company until like 2 years ago. So when you call it background stuff, that background stuff is honestly the most important stuff you should be focusing on, because it has helped me realize what to retain and throw away when these SSP people approach you, because it definitely, when nothing gravitates you or interests you, or you're not exposed to what they're saying, rather, you just feel like it's you want to push them away, you want to hide away from these people. That's the point
Yeah.
where you need to focus on childhood life, emotions, your state of emotions when these things happen throughout your life. What happened before? How was your emotions before and after these things happened? You always got to go into you got to basically try to contradict yourself in a way, like pretend, like try to prove yourself wrong to the
Yeah.
point where it's nothing but truth at this point, so that when you explain it to people, they can't really add anything to it because it's your truth. And that's what people aren't doing when they go into these communities. They're just going in there willy-nilly, like, hey guys, how's it going? I've had some weird dreams, here they are. And then they're like, oh yeah, then this and that. And they're like, wow, that makes sense. Well, I trust you guys, let's dive deeper. And that's all they get into. And then you'll see it with these younger kids that are getting involved. It's upsetting. It's real easy to trick younger kids at this point, because it's the look at me generation. And
Right.
it's not easy to separate who's real and who's not anymore. And I could tell by listening to you that you're a real person who has real experiences. And it seems like you also are going to get roped into some of these things. And you need to know that there are people here like Power Lady and Veronica. And unfortunately, I'm not great when it comes to knowledge of extraterrestrials and MK Ultra and all that. But when it comes to figuring out what people's intentions are, I could smell it miles away. And or
Yeah.
and some of these people are just it pleases me to hear you at the end of all of that, what you were saying. It pleased me to hear you say that you felt very skeptical of all this after you decided to dissect it and listen to all it and absorb it, is what you said.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
Oh yeah.
that maybe I should look into this, accept, and not just accept what they're saying and go on shows with them.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like a gut feeling. Like this just doesn't seem. It seems like either too good to be true, or not too good to be true. That's a bad choice of words, but it just doesn't seem. I don't know. It just seems questionable. I don't know what other words
We
to use.
the Matrix. You're here for a reason. The mainstream media is bullshit. There's some bad stuff going on, and you came here. You came here for some truth, and now you're just figuring out, like just like the rest of us. But you also realize there's some disinformation going on, and you want to figure out what to believe and what not to believe. And that's to
Right.
figure out the truth. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are too open-minded, and open-minded is great, but when you're just bringing everything in, eventually it's just too much, and you'll never figure out what to separate from the truth.
Right. Right. One thing, going back to people telling me, telling me things with abilities, one person did say that they had, remote viewing, abilities that they were taught as a child, and they had the feeling that I was a time traveler. So I don't know if that's something that
Remote viewing is very real. That's been an MK Ultra. I'm not, like I said, I don't dive too deep into this, but I'm pretty sure if anyone wants to assist me with this, but I'm pretty sure that was the main focus of MK Ultra, was to get people with psychic abilities to remote view other countries and whatnot, probably Russia,
right.
and just figure out what they're doing over there without being over there, without even having a camera, without being a drone, without anything, just a blur in the corner of the room. That's all you are. So
Yeah.
it was really easy for them to do, and I guess if somewhere along the way they did it, obviously, because they put so much effort and money and tech into this, and it's continuing now. Unfortunately, that tech has improved, and now they don't need people in chairs and tied up or wired or with blindfolds on, and it's pretty apparent now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did see actually a special on that before, the remote viewing, but not, there were adults that wanted to participate in giving information to the military about something, actually a mountain in Alaska they were talking about, where they believed there was the base and everything. And yeah, so but one of the things I want to ask you, I don't know, do any of you have a feeling after hearing me and speaking to me as to whether or not this could be something that's high probability, or maybe, or I guess I'm trying to get a sense. I guess there's really no way of telling, but I guess by psychic abilities that you might have, can you tell if I was in the SSP or?
I think you were. We talked, for that session that we did together, and based on everything that you told me and just the feeling, I think you were, especially when we were talking about the sex kitten altar, the CIA, the
Yeah.
all those CIA love bite, all those men that they sent to you. Um, it's very apparent. Now, before we go into that, I
Yeah.
to tell you, now that we're talking about the warehouses and big pharma and all that stuff. My daughter had a dream 2 years ago, and she told me she was fighting these people, and she felt like I told her I think she was in the Kruger program or something, because she was fighting people, trying to save people that were inside the walls, and that
Okay.
gadgets and weapons were coming out of herself, and then
Yeah.
she woke up with a mark from one side of her shoulder to the other, and then the next week she had a dream of where her and my niece and another friend of her were actually in a warehouse, and it was they had this paint that they would put around, they would mix it, and they would put it on their stomachs, and then they would create children. And she says that she had to run away because this doctor came to her and said, "This is your baby. This is your baby." She's like, "That's not my baby. I don't want anything to do with it." My daughter says, and she ran and ran and ran away from that.
Wow.
And another memory that I have is going down the Vatican. It was like because Jesse, you mentioned it. So it was like I was inside a mansion, but in the mansion, there's a Vatican in there,
Yeah.
and it was like all red carpet. There was a few people there, and they had me go all the way down to the front of the aisles to a priest, and they were using me to exorcise people, demons and shit. And I was like, what the hell? So all this, I just wanted to just get it out there, because we do have these memories, and we write down however much stuff that we can.
Well,
Um,
ironically, you just brought up the church scenario. I did recently, this is one of the first times I ever saw my handler. I never saw him before, and I never had memories of being sexually abused. And this dream that I had, it started out that I was taken to this place. Then it landed up in a church setting. I don't believe it was a church though, because of just my memory. But it was set up just like it. It had the altar, it had the center aisle, and I was pushing, I believe, a coffin down the middle of the aisle, and I believe there were other children there doing the same thing. It wasn't just me, it was other people too. And the priest was at the end of the whoever it was at the end of the aisle and smiled and patted me. And I even know I went to the right, and I was on drugs. They gave me drugs, and I remember, for some reason, I don't know how this would make sense, but I had one pill left. That they gave me two pills, and they told me to take one. I had one left. I took it because I didn't want to remember being there because it was so awful, the feeling. So I go with that feeling, not so much the content. When I think about, I think that's more like the memory itself. Yeah, there are significant things, but even if they're wrong, it's more the feeling that it caused me to feel, like that evil feeling, and like children aren't supposed to be there. They do bad things to children. um and I saw some things too I won't get into, but yeah.
Yeah, they have blood sacrifices there. You know, they use the children to get other children to go to church, and sometimes they'll have them kill their own friends to get the reward, and that's pretty sad, you know.
Yeah.
And then you're a good kid, and I don't want to even say the code word because there's a special code word that I can't stand that they use. But yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and that came up within like the last week. That just came up, and I haven't had any memories in a long time, like 6 months, about abusive type situations. Um, so
make sure you
yeah.
write them down in your journal because like what we all do here is write them down, and then if somebody in the near future comes up, it could be either on Facebook or maybe they'll email you and they'll be like, oh hey, do you remember me, or I had a dream about you, or maybe you have something written down for them too. You never know. So
Right, right.
people will come to you later. Right now, you're trying to figure it out for yourself, but in the future, they will come to you just like they come to us and say, hey, can you help me with this? Because we need a few good men out there. We don't need the people, that are right now trying to rob people of their loosh, their energy for their specific book that they're writing, or, their whole teams that they're trying to get. We don't need more of that. We need more people that are going to be honest and, you know, also not fall into the handler mentality like, well, I have to tell this person everything, or because she or he's the only one that knows. It's like, no, you have to go inside, and find out what is right.
Yeah.
So
Could I ask you a question about, like, do people in the SSP, in are they in the fifth dimension, the fourth dimension? Like, where is it, like anyone else?
Personally, I would assume all of them want to be as high as dimension as they can get, but with the work that they think they're doing, some of them at least, I don't think they would achieve that. And Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, because some of them they're gonna end up in the fourth dimension, and they're not gonna, if you believe in the ascension thing, they're not gonna ascend. They're gonna stay with the demons in the fourth dimension because that's the dirty work that they're doing.
Right. See,
But
and
you're in a
that's
strange time frame.
where I was getting a lot of confusion.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I'm being pulled between, am I a light worker? Am I not really able to do that because I might be in the SSP? Am I able to ascend? And I'm like, which
Well, yeah,
track should
Yeah,
I
no,
be
no, you
on?
shouldn't make it a hell heaven thing. Just
no.
because you're SSP doesn't make you like, oh, now you're not worthy for heaven. They'll try to
Yeah.
do that. They've tried doing it with me.
Mhm.
They've tried testing my faith against God and things that matter and all that. And I don't have to be tested again. I already know about that stuff. I don't have to prove to people,
Right.
I'm not
And
trying
you
to
were
prove to people about my
forced.
faith. I'm trying to prove to people about my story.
You know,
Right, right. And
actually,
the thing that I want to add too, the
Mhm.
way I look at the SSP program, I mean, we were controlled and forced and abused and mind controlled. So it's not by our choice anyway, so that's the other piece of it.
Yes, there's the mind control is the biggest aspect of all of this. And unfortunately, you don't need, I've been telling people you don't need tech to do it. You need a story to people to grasp onto it. And I'm not sure if you followed it, but the whole good situation that honestly I didn't even hear of this guy until this happened. And everyone's freaking out because he made millions of dollars off of people with information that he's saying isn't true. And now you see where it gets you. You want to make sure your information stays true to yourself, because if you get roped into the rest of this, you're going to have nothing to talk about, unfortunately.
And then the people that remember you in the beginning, like you are here with us now, this is your beginning. We will remember. We will remember. And then,
Yeah.
if, like, not you, but like, say a person says something else in the future and lies about it because now they want to be with the big kids. Well, we'll remember. You know what I'm saying? Just be
Right,
careful.
right.
Be careful. I always tell people, be honest. Be honest with yourself, first of all. Because when you tell the truth, nobody can come at you.
Right.
For what? Dude, I'm like an
Exactly.
open book. Fuck you guys. Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, Power Lady, you can answer that question that she had too, because she took a break from me for 6 months, and because she was having a hard time figuring out, well, am I really SSP? Do you want to tell the story, Power Lady? I'll be right back. Gotta take a little break. I'll be right back. Go ahead, Power Lady.
Well, make sure I'm not muted. What I can say is that as far as the SSP, those are all contracts that you were tricked into. You were led to believe that we need you to save the world and do these things, so we need you to be under the contract. You don't have to be tricked and under a contract in order to save the world, because most of us are here. That is why we are here, to help humanity, to help mankind to raise frequencies, to help them go within, and to the abilities through technology and these contracts that have tricked us. Those abilities are already within us. We don't have to learn remote viewing because we already know how. We do it naturally. Right. We're doing it naturally. The implants being put in us are just to track us and use our abilities when they want us to. So when it comes to the SSP, or the reason that you are here, the reason you are here is more important than the SSP, because you chose to come here to help, and you have to remember your abilities and learn how to use them in order to help mankind, learn your mission. Whereas the SSP, because of the abilities and who you were and why you came here, you were tricked into using those abilities for something or someone else's agenda.
Right.
So all the saving and clearing, closing portals and things like that, that is what we are here for. And that's to help us to raise our frequency. And by doing all this, we're helping one person, two people, to raise their frequency and understand more and unlock their abilities so that they can help other people and they can remember what their mission is. And you'll start remembering past lives. You'll remember that probably in a past life you were an electrician. You don't know how you're able to repair or run electrical wiring. You were never taught it. Well, yeah, you were in a previous life.
Yeah.
These things will start coming to you, and these are the things that are important because they're going to help you to help humankind, mankind. So that's how I see it with the SSP, that it was a deterrent to take us off our true mission of helping mankind and to help us to raise our frequency, reclaim our energy, and things like that. So our mission is more important than the SSP is, how I see things.
Yep, it sure is.
And
Okay.
humans are
And
more
if I
powerful
could
than
ask
people
you-
realize.
Yes.
Say again, Jesse?
Humans are more powerful than people realize. I know it's pretty much quoting the Matrix, but everything that's around us is suppressing us. Pills, education, technology, like you were just saying, your energy, all that. It's just being suppressed constantly.
Yeah.
So
when
basically,
you wonder why people use us, whether
So what
they're
you're
extraterrestrial
saying-
or just evil.
I'm sorry. I think there's a little bit of a delay. So basically, the way you're seeing it is that as humans, and I've heard this, of course, before, that we have these abilities already, and they were now with the DNA and everything. Is that something that this is what gets confusing for me, and I don't know, maybe we should, I don't know if you want me to talk about this now or not, but do like, should we be, if we're in the SSP program, is it something where, like, as far as this ascension, is the ascension true? Is it light workers? It's just like, I don't really know if that's something to even believe in. Like, can you?
It's not like a religion thing. Like you have to go out and I mean, yeah, you should always go out and be nice to people and all that, but it's not like you're forced to. It's not like people are watching. It's not like every little mistake you make is another step down from not being able to ascend, so to speak. You have to, like Power Lady was saying, you have to figure out what your truth is and stick true to your truth and help people with your truth, not what other people are going to possibly tell you in the future, to help them out. Make sure you're helping yourself out before you just start acquiring knowledge from other people to help them out, if that makes sense. And I know everyone has a piece to the puzzle, so to speak, but you don't want to just start adding puzzle pieces for, just because they fit.
No, that makes sense. And the one last question from your perspective, is the earth really going into the fifth dimension physically? Or you don't know? Like, I mean, is that a question that anyone can answer, or you know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to say it better, but I'm sure it will. I mean, I could see it already, even with I'm the black sheep of my family, but even I could see it in my own family, a little bit of light finally. People are starting to realize, like, I've been telling my family about this stuff for years. In 2014, I warned them about the pandemic. I warned them about Russia and issues and all that stuff. And the next thing we have is possible alien invasion. If that happens, then I guarantee you my family's going to start calling me. But it's whether it's real or not. But this stuff happens, and when you start reaching out to your loved ones and your family, eventually it's called, it's like a virus, and a good virus. It starts spreading truth and awareness. It's just constant vibration. Is what people are saying.
I see what you're saying. So it's like the disclosures that are going on and everything. People are starting to, like, I am seeing a change. Like, I'm definitely
opinions and all that is great too. Always keep an open mind. you know, if you have a big influence on people, and what unfortunately a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people fall in for that. And if they see you listening to this, they'll automatically believe that all of this is true without even deciding to decipher it for themselves, because they're seeing their influential person listening to it weekly or whatever it's about. And unfortunately, they're just saying, oh, wow, this has got to be true because I like this guy who's listening to it. So I'll listen to
Right.
it. And that's not how it's supposed to be. I would love for, if people want to talk about all this stuff, at least just throw in before it, like, don't throw in subscribe, throw in, please take everything with a grain of salt, and
Yeah.
physically say it. Don't put it under your description somewhere or hide it under for entertainment purposes only. Don't do that. Tell people that this is for, believe it or not, this, you know, this is a story, and if you believe it, great. If you don't, great. Just, but don't go on the show to start saying this is what is. And that's what people are doing right now. They're not letting people discern for themselves. They're just saying, well, I have a big influence on them. I'm just going to bring a whole bunch of people that these people like now because they're influenced.
Right. Right.
So when you were talking about the earth, Patty, were you talking about a physical new earth where people who believe one thing will go to that planet Earth, and is that what I'm understanding? How you're seeing it?
Well, it's kind of, truthfully, I am confused between, I feel like there are two different things going on. I'm wondering more if, like, the earth that we're on, like, right now, if because there's so many like physical things that are being recorded as happening, like the energy coming in and the Schumann resonance and all that. If that's all true, it seems like there's a huge thing going on with our earth. There's volcanoes, there's, really tremendous things. Part of that, I feel, is religion. It's God stepping in and letting people know he's in control in a good way. But I guess my question is, really, is this earth, are we really going to move into a fifth dimension? Not so much that maybe the new earth is the right term, I don't know.
Well, I've heard the term new earth, but it's all about frequency. We have different dimensions, we have different realities, and in those different realities are different earths that have different outcomes, and you exist on all those planes. But as far as frequency, as you raise that vibration, you will start seeing colors like in rainbows that you never saw before. You may
Okay.
start seeing more out of the corner of your eye than you did before. You may start to understand more, or a lot of the suffering that people are going through, they start to subside. It's not like
Yeah.
your body is going to be taken and put on another planet. It has to do with ascension, raising your vibration, your frequency.
I see.
There is a term I use, it's called BOSTO, and it stands
Okay.
for be of service to others.
Okay.
Anytime you have the opportunity to help someone, whether it's the groceries or hold a door open or please and thank you, you do that.
Oh, I
Helps,
do that all the time.
yes, that helps to raise, and that spreads the good. As a person here who's on a mission, you should be able to walk into a room and that room should light up because of your vibration, your frequency, that light, that inner glow.
Right.
People just gravitate towards you because there's something about you that they feel, and that's what I'm talking about. Frequency, reclaiming your energy, bringing all your energy back to you, and it makes you even more of a powerful being to understand and see more. And when you do, you can help more people that way.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. Thank you for explaining that, because the way you explained it is what I picture now, more as the reality of what's going to be happening. it's like it's going to evolve. It's with each individual person. And it might, then there's the solar flash, it's another whole story, right? But
Also, before what you were saying, not to cut you off, before we get too far ahead of that, you were saying that you think it could be God or something else with the volcanoes. Personally, because of our vibrations and it raising, they have the ability to cause volcanoes and blizzards and hurricanes and manipulate weather and bring our vibrations back down, because vibrations is dependent on emotion. And if your emotion is bad or down, or you feel like it, you just look around and you see, oh, volcanoes and apocalypse based stuff, it's going to bring our vibration down. So when you're seeing this, it's because it's a good sign for the people that know what's going on. And obviously everyone else is just freaking out. But for the people who know why it's happening, is because people are starting to figure out what's going on behind the scenes and are starting to awaken to their true potential.
I see what you're saying.
And also,
Yeah.
I hear a lot of my Christian family say, well, it says it in Revelations in the Bible that this is going to happen. The sun's going to swallow the earth, and all these wars, and the mothers are going to go against the children and things like that. And I'm like, do you know that that's what they want you to believe as a collective? They want,
Right, and that's what they wrote it.
the cabal.
Yeah.
The whole thing with Jesse and I personally is to take out the fucking cabal.
Yeah, exactly.
We take down the cabal. We take down the Department of Defense that is not,
Well, those two are great, and I would love to take those down too, but we need people who are aware.
Right.
And unfortunately, I thought I was joining a community of people who were more aware than I was, and I found out that was not the case. And now we need to help. And now it's and that's not for you. You're part of that, Patty. You're not. You're more aware than half these other people. I'll say that. But these, it's just, I don't even know how to help them now. It's like I escaped what's going on in the real world into YouTube world, and now I found out, in Facebook world, and now I found out that all of them are wrapped up into something that isn't necessarily true, or there's more, 3-letter alphabet stuff behind it. So
right.
Yeah.
And I was kind of, being involved with different people. I was wondering also, as far as how what's the word, how genuine they're being, as far as, and how truthful, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And I think some people are definitely feeding off of each other, with it just makes you wonder what's true and what's not. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Well, that has to do, and I know a lot of people say it, and some people are like, what do you really mean by that? But they tell you to go within. And it is something that will resonate with you. You will feel that it's the truth. You meditate on it, and you will get an answer to your question from the universe. Universe will say, nah, or like, that's partially right, but you need to dig deeper. So, and I know everyone says go within or meditate, but that's doing the work. Nothing's going to come easy. You can watch all the YouTube videos, you can ask all the questions, but until you go within and do the work to learn your own, it's going to take you longer for it to click and for you to understand. Because it took me, I had to start from reading the Bible. That's how I started 6 years ago, reading the Bible. And when I got through with the Bible, all these things that they don't teach you in the church house, they start popping up. The Cain and Abel story. Well, who did Cain marry? You're led to believe it was only like 4 people on the earth. Well, no, there were other people, there were other beings. You're talking about the serpent in the Garden of Eden, how he lied. Well, the serpent told the truth. He said, if you eat this, you will have knowledge, your eyes will open and you will know the truth. So was that a lie? No, but everything is twisted and turned around. So once I got out of that Bible, I went to Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi. I went through all these other philosophy books. I had to do that work to get out of the church to realize about dimensions and things of that sort that I talked about earlier. I had to put in the work for years to get to where I am. And I'm telling you, I'm happy that I did, because I have more of an understanding than I did 6 years ago.
I say, okay, yeah. And I definitely see the value now. Like, I can catch myself looking for answers on the outside. And then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not where I'm going to find them. I need to go inside to find the answers. And that's where the answers are, not on the outside so much.
Yeah, and then if it doesn't feel right, then it's not right for you. You got to go with your gut feeling, because your gut is also another way to feel premonition, another brain, your mind, your heart, your stomach.
Yeah.
Right? We have different brains, if you want to call it that.
It's
And
not a voice either. It's not a voice in your head saying, Patty, this is it. Let's continue it now. That's not. It's you going about your life and things. Whether you're just watching a bird land on a wire and you're more intent on watching that bird land on a wire than you've ever been before, you know what I mean? Or it's the sun hitting you in a weird reflection through trees. Like it's just certain signs in life that you go through that know you're on the right path. It's not anyone or anything telling you that you're awakening or that this is true. It's you going about your everyday life, realizing that things are, and the people you communicate with and the people that want to stay around, and you feel more attached to them, or, and obviously you got to watch out for people trying to go off of your everything that you want them to, basically you're looking for, like, oh, who you're looking for, all right, I'll be that person for you now. No, don't go after those people. You want to look for people who don't want to be the person that you're looking for. They want to be the person that's going to help you.
Patty, it's pretty. Let me see if I can simplify this. Okay, I'm gonna switch it to the CIA love bite. When you would go on dates, right? Because you went celibate too, and I'm very proud of you for that. And you said, and then they say you can have everything you want, but te voy a dar todo lo que tú quieras, mamita mía. Just marry me, or have sleep with me. You can have everything you want, Beto. How many times have they said that to you, right? You can have, Patty, you can have anything you want. You can ask me, baby, you got it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, like you don't want to go to those people. You don't want, how do I say it? It's like you have to find yourself, your inner child, the real you talking to the real you. Like no florecitas, no, honey on top. No, it's just strip it down, baby.
Yeah.
With my story, it took me 8 years. I'll keep it short. It took me 8 years to look back at all this and do exactly what Veronica's saying, and to analyze it and go back to all my things and realize that, do I really want to be part of this? And when everyone started coming out, all these big names started coming out, I was getting dreams too. And I could have easily have just said, I'm with these people. And I decided not to. And I was watching and observing and learning and trying to figure out, there's a motive, there's a game. This is not exactly just 100% truth. This is more than just truth. And that's all I wanted. So I went literally 8 years. And then when I finally watched James Ring's channel, someone mentioned something in my dream that I had 8 years ago. And I was like, wow, it's a race. It has a name. It exists and all this, and that's how I got roped into it, unfortunately. But it took 8 years and luckily that 8 years helped me decide that maybe these people are a little bit more than just wanting the truth. Maybe they're trying to figure out, maybe they're trying to help themselves out, rather. That's what I'm trying to say. They're seeing people out for themselves when they really are.
So they can charge thousands of dollars to go to conferences.
Yeah, I mean, and they bring people on their shows all the time who are also selling something. And I see that you can watch the trend of it. I mean, if that's the only trend they have, Red
Right
flag.
now, there's a very famous whistleblower that's right now, and I had him on my show, and I'm like, I ain't showing that show. That's another infiltration, you know.
Yeah.
And then these people are enamored with this man, and it's like, really, look at his Facebook picture.
Yeah.
Look at what he's trying to talk to people about.
Don't use topics that are about child everything, taking and everything else, and use it to sell your things. That's so wrong.
Right now he's
Yeah.
teaching crystals, and everybody's like, "Oh, we love you."
Even then, I mean, even
You're a
holistic
crystal,
things,
God damn it!
even that
Yeah.
stuff, holistic stuff. I don't care if it's beneficial. I don't care if it's a cap you can put on that blocks EMF stuff. Stop selling it and stop trying to sell it on this stuff. Just do it on the side, but don't go on people's shows talking about child issues and then people getting hurt and killed in space and then say, oh, by the way, I'm selling these caps. Go on my website, 50% off if you use my, just stop that. It's
Yeah,
just,
that's crazy.
yeah, stick to the helping the kids, and then and leave your stuff on the side, because people like me, unfortunately, will be like, where's your intent? This doesn't seem genuine to me. But there's other
Yeah.
people that are like, oh, they need to make a living somehow. Work at Walmart or something. I mean, anything. You don't need to sell
Yeah.
things to people while selling things to people.
Yeah, it is crazy, definitely. I have some questions about being in the SSP, like, and I don't know if I should get into this now, like ask these questions, or
Yeah,
some
go
other
ahead.
time. I'm not sure where we are with time right
I
now.
think we got another like 20 minutes. Go ahead.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering if, okay, as far as what I'm not understanding, I learned a lot, I think, about what's really out there, about the breakaway colonies. I think they're real. If I hope I'm getting the right information. That of course there's bases on Mars where they do a lot of the training. That's where I was supposed to be. And all that. How does how do the Palladians and the Arcturians, like, what is your view on them, and are they real, are they not real, like, what, I don't know if you could go into it or not. I'm just looking as far as, like, for an answer. Can we trust them, can we not trust them, do they trust us, or is that
Personally, for me, I can't. I've only said to people, I've only seen a canine being appear to me, and that could be anything. That could be a hologram for all I know, and that could be any other race, a shapeshifter. It could be a billion different things. So for me, I don't personally know if what exists, but I know that there are things that do, most definitely. 10% things exist other than humans, or whatever you want, whatever stage of evolution we're up to now, that we're being called up there by these things. There's a lot of other things out there for sure.
okay.
Names and races can be very iffy. They seem to change a lot sometimes in these groups. I've noticed people, it's blue these, or it's blue those, or it's green. So I'm sure Veronica has more experience unfortunately, with seeing some of these things, but with names and stuff, I would definitely try to always discern with that. But when it comes to existence, yes, for sure.
Yes, the names, like Jesse says, they always will change. Yes, they are real. It's just that sometimes it depends who's behind that. Is it a hologram, right? Is it people that you spoke to that you don't want anything to do with them, and then they try and remote view you in a dream and cast that demon? For example, Michael Aquino, right? The LaVey, Anton LaVey, the church of, even the church of Scientology. People see, we all have psychic abilities. Some people they're not confident, so they go to others. And then that's how people get taken advantage of, especially here in the SSP community. So I'll send you, going back to your question, I'll send you a video on
Okay.
the 22 races. Obviously, there's more. And then I'll send you, I don't know if I sent it to you already on Ashiana Dean, but you got to be careful with Ashiana Dean.
On what?
You got to be careful with her
Sending?
Ashiana Dean, because there's some ego there. And she doesn't believe in saving certain races, but then she wants to save some races that are that are stuck in the different matrices, which I won't get into that because I talk about it all the time. You have to be very careful to not idolatrize these beings, because they can come at you with lies. I don't trust any of these aliens.
Her voice for me does it. Her voice creeps me out, unfortunately. It's like the person who puts you under MK Ultra. Her voice is just that creepy to me.
Wow.
When I'm serious, when you listen to her, that's the first. Everyone kept mentioning her. I'm like, fine, I'll watch a video. And literally yesterday, this is 8-9 years of people talking to me. Finally, yesterday, I was like, all right, I'll watch a video. I think V sent it to me, and I was like, this sounds like those things that they try to put you to, into remote viewing and stuff. It sounds like the same voice, like the person who is guiding your meditation. It just it just seems very
yeah, and
I'm trying to sound really nice,
yeah,
but I'm not deep down type of thing.
Yeah.
Karen, what was her name is Karen. She says, I think her name is Karen Lucky McDonald. She wrote me the other day, and even she even put a comment on there on one of the YouTubes, and she says, yeah, me and Patty Broussard, because she was in the group with Patty Broussard, and that they actually went and sued Ashiana Dean. And I'm like, what? Why? I still don't know why. I still don't know the whole thing. Now, what I do appreciate from her is just the breakdown of the different ET races and the timelines, And another thing that I found very interesting with another video that Power Lady Chad and I were doing is on the Leviathan races, the giants and things like that. It's the 12 tribes of Judah. All that is most for the Leviathan races, for their races. It has nothing to do with us, the ones that come from, we're planet stars. We can go on and on, that come to Earth to try and help save humanity or save, the children and all that. It's their war, the Arcturians, whether it be the Alpha Dracos fighting with Aldebaran, the Nazis in space fighting.
Yeah, I say the best way to approach it is, there's races. Don't assume they're good. Don't assume they're bad. Don't assume anything about them other than their possible existence, in my opinion, because that's really all we really kind of know. I mean, some people say they know so much about them, but I just saw what happened when that happens. So it's just, their existence is there, but I would not let others deceive you into what they're like in any way. I don't care if it sounds the greatest to you. It's right. They could be the worst being in the world.
Oh yeah,
right.
I don't even pray to anything anymore. I don't believe in angels. I mean, they cool wings. I got them too, bitch. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've been everything, and I've been a dragon. I've been a mermaid. I have all these memories, but that doesn't mean that I'm gonna bow down to them. Because what it is, it's a war.
I personally accept all the races as neutral with me. I'm not angry at them. I left it at that. I'll even say it before I go to sleep at night. I'll let them know. I'll be like, look, guys, you know me, but I don't care what you've done. I understand we're all in this together. You guys are trying to keep your civilization going. We're trying to keep our civilization going, and stuff happens in between that, whatever. Obviously there are dark agendas and all that stuff, but I try to keep it neutral with them at this point until I know exactly who I should be putting my energy and anger towards and focus on. Because I'm not just gonna start blaming people and extraterrestrials.
I'm angry at those that you are pedophiles still. I'm angry at those races that brought that here. and I will fight for the children. You know, like
Yeah.
yesterday I was listening to Carrie Cassidy and Nino, that guy, boxer Nino, arguing back and forth. Nino's like, you got to trust the plan. I'm like, fuck the plan. You know, and then Carrie Cassidy's like, well, you know, we got to do something about it. And I'm like, yeah, we got to do something about it. You can't just trust the plan. You know, there's another Q espionage, whatever they call it, Essanon, whatever guy. You know, those are paid informants too. These white,
Yeah.
it's a bigger issue than just, you know, what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you want me to bring up that issue with Patty here with Penny that I was talking about, that I found out about, that we were supposed to get at?
Yeah, but hold on.
Uh,
Let me have Power Lady say something first, real quick.
Sure.
Thank you.
What I wanted to say about the beings, and
Yeah.
I've seen many, and the ones that I've probably seen a very small handful that have been helpful to me, and all the rest have tricked me into working for them, have stolen my soul aspects, and have put my soul aspect in a cyborg body, android body, and had me somewhere. And the only reason that I knew this is because I would get a dream or a vision, and I would see myself on a ship doing something, or I would look down at my hands and I'm like, these are not my hands.
Wow.
I would have conversations with them. And you know, so I haven't come in contact with that many positive beings. I'm thankful for the few I have, but the majority of them have tried to trick me into doing something, and have tricked me. Have taken my soul aspect and used it for something else to power their reality, their world, because the abilities that we have, our energy is such that if we're captured, so to speak, we can power their world. And they take our
Yeah.
DNA because they're experimenting and they're doing all these things. And a lot of people talk about the Palladians. I have yet to come in contact with a good Palladian. Now, I'm not saying they are not out there, because I believe they have to be. But the ones that I have come in contact with, 12D Palladians, they have not been good to me. They have used and stolen from me. And this Archangel Michael, I have to say, everybody, oh, Archangel Michael, I've seen him so many times.
I heard about him.
And there are different aspects of him out there, and none of them are good.
Yeah.
I'm sure the good one is somewhere, but there are aspects of him that people are praying to, channeling, or whatever they're doing. But any contact that I've had with him has not been good. So I'm just telling you, I've seen many beings in contact in the astral. I've been attacked, you know, with scratches. I had a eye that looked like I had a black eye one time, except it wasn't bruised, but I woke up with a swollen eye I couldn't see out of. So these things, they all happen in the astral, but these beings, they actually come into your home, they come into your bedroom, they stand next to your bed to talk and push, and they'll try to give you that, what is it called, where they paralyze you and do things like
sleep paralysis.
Yeah. So, and you have to learn how to fight those things and how to clear them, how to break contact. So I'm just saying that there are some good out there, and I hope that you come in contact with some of them and you're able to discern and they help you. But always be aware that the majority of them are there to get what they can from you to help their race. And, you know, it's kind of like you understand, but I'm not going to be the one to help you. You're not going to use me. So
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So it's like you have to remember, like, always keep that in the back of your mind, that their intentions, or like they have a different agenda going on behind what they're presenting.
When you're in the astral and you come in contact with one of these beings, you tell them to reveal themselves. Because
Okay.
they're in your space.
Yep.
And you're like, who are you? And they,
What do you want?
Yeah, what do you want? And then they may act a certain way, and he says, this is my space. I'm a sovereign being. Reveal yourself to me right now. Majority of the time, they'll disappear,
Yep.
or they will change into their true form.
Yep.
And once they change into their true form, when you wake up, you break ties with them. And so they can never come back again.
Yeah, I always
I
ask
see.
them, who are you? What do you want? And then Patty, I'll send you a thing that I do, about how do you say, canceling, cutting all contracts, as above, so below, and this in different dimensions, known and unknown, any mirrors, known and unknown. I'll send you what I personally do for myself, and then, but like I said, just always ask them, who are you? What do you want? And I have the right to be safe. I have the right to know who you are, because I am a sovereign being, like Power Lady said.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and end this now. And Jesse, we're gonna talk about what we're gonna talk about in private. So
Okay.
is that okay, Miss Patty? Or did you have one more question, or you're good for now? We could do another show.
No, I'm good for now, and I just want to thank everyone for listening to my story and for giving me the feedback and the information that you did. I feel in a different place now, like in a better place than I was before. I was very confused before about everything, and I'm feeling more at ease with what's going on. So thank you very much, and I hope to speak to you again.
Thank you, Miss Patty.
Definitely be brave in all of this. With what Power Lady was saying before, bravery is key. When you see these beings, if they're mean, if they're nice, if you're brave, you'll win regardless of what they are. So it's the easiest way to go about that.
Because if they kill you, they can't kill you. We're eternal. So why be afraid, right? You got to face that fear. Own that bitch.
Yeah.
I got you. You're not going to get me. I got you, fool. Got you right under. Yeah. Kill you. And you're never going to come back. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I went over and over. Our lady's like, oh my gosh, I wish we could edit, but we can't. Love you guys. Peace out. Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.